In this video, I'm going to talk about Google shopping campaign structures. So the way in which that you can set up your shopping campaigns and just run through a few of the pros and cons of the different ways that you can do it. First option is to have all your products in a single product group. This is the most common thing I see when I'm auditing a Google Ads account and looking at the shopping campaigns, where they create a product, an ad group, and all the products are in that ad group and they just leave them all sitting in there. I've put this one first, not because I think it's the best, but because it is the most commonly seen in accounts where people don't actually have a lot of knowledge with Google Ads. And it is not the way that I would recommend that you set up your Google Shopping. So I have to come up with pros and cons for all these particular structures that I'm talking about today. So it does have a pro in that you don't have to do any updating. So as new products come into your feed, they'll just land in the product group and they'll be there, and that's fine. So, but that is the only pro I can think of with this one. The downsides, and the biggest downside, is that all the products will have exactly the same bid. So that means we can't optimize individual product bids. We can't exclude poorly performing products. We have really no control over individual products in that campaign. And it's we all see it in running shopping campaigns. You might have 50, 100,000, 10,000 products, but there will only ever be a small percentage of those which drive the sales. And there will also be a small percentage of those which just don't work and will spend money and just not get results. You need to be able to see that. And with this particular shopping campaign structure, you can't see that because all the products are lumped together in one big product group. So don't do it this way unless you particularly want to waste a load of money on Google Shopping. So second, all products in a single product group, but this is the second version. So what we do here is we have create our ad group, which has all our products in our single product group. And then, as you can see here, they are all split out by individual item ID. So this is the simplest, most basic sort of structure where you can still have access to and optimize individual product IDs. So again, there are pros and cons of this one. I like this particular method of structuring a shopping campaign, but only for relatively small product feeds. If you've got 500 products, I wouldn't normally do it this way. If you've got 10, 20, 50, maybe up to 100 at a push, it's fabulous. And it's also really easy to update when the feed changes, because all you have to do, just to show you, when a new product comes into this feed or any particular shopping campaign, when you add a new product, it automatically gets dropped into that everything else. See where it says everything else in all products? It will automatically be dropped in there. With this particular campaign structure, when you know you've got new products in the feed, you can just come in here, you click next to the everything else in all products, and you can just select your new products and it splits them out individually, and so that then they become individual products as the others have. So that's pretty easy to do with this particular one. The downside is we have no segmentation of our products. We can't, we've literally just got all products in one. You can see individual products, but there's no product grouping within the campaign, which sometimes can be useful. But as I said, on a smaller product feed, when you haven't got masses of products, this really is the most practical. Otherwise, you're making it more complicated than it needs to be. I like this way of doing it, as I said, with product feeds which don't have masses, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of products in them. So next, segmented product groups. So this is what I mean by when I said in the last one we can't segment and we haven't got any kind of breakdown of products within the product campaign. So what we do with a segmented product groups is, as you can see, just about hidden at the top there, it says all products. This particular one has been split down by product type. So you can see here that the product type was set up as baby and toddler, weaning and feeding, baby sippy cups. Okay. And then we have baby and toddler, weaning and feeding, catch-all pelican bibs. So what this allows us to do, obviously this is a bigger feed. We have more products in the feed, but segmenting our product feed by a certain attribute in the feed allows us to group the products together in a meaningful way within the campaign. So we can quite quickly go in and say, oh, how are our bibs doing? How are our sippy cups doing? How are our suction bowls doing at a group level? So from that respect, it's quite easy, and it's easy sometimes for a client to go in and just see straight away, oh, our sippy cups are doing really, really well. And so you can see that information in the reports section, but within a shopping campaign, this is quite a nice way of doing it. And I quite like this. What I like doing, the way I like doing this as well, so if we look at our pros section, you can segment by any attribute within the feed. Most commonly, I will do it by custom label or product type, sometimes brand, if brand is a relative and, a relevant and meaningful way of splitting it out. But custom labels, I tend to use custom labels for things like price ranges. Another thing you can use custom labels for is product margins, profitability, best sellers. So what you can do if you are using custom labels in your feed, you can then segment out your shopping campaign using those custom labels. So for example, by price range, I can very quickly see when I'm optimizing a campaign, oh, hey, this product is below £50. Or this product is above 150, and that can help me understand how I need to optimize the campaign. I also really like this is another way that I really like to structure my shopping campaigns. But you have to understand that you'll make sure that your attributes and you think about how you want to segment it in a meaningful way. And obviously, if you're going to use product types or custom labels, you have to make sure that those are all set up and optimized before you start building your campaign. So the downside of this is that for every time you split down to a new level, in every single one of those levels, you're going to have an everything else. So the catch-all Pelican Bibs has each product split out individually, with an everything else in all Pelican Bibs. There's an everything else in baby sippy cups. What that means is when you have new products coming into the feed, you have to go into each individual segment to pull those products out of the everything else product group and get them showing individually inside that section. So that's a bit of a pain if you have to do that manually. If your feed changes a lot, then that can be a bit tricky. There are tools that will do that for you. Optimizer is a tool that I use, and there's a tool inside Optimizer that will go and do this for you. So they automatically puts products in the right place and splits them out so that your everything else category should remain empty most of the time. But I do like this way. I must admit, I do like this way of building shopping campaigns. Finally, single product ad groups, otherwise known as SPAGs. I used to do this quite a bit. This is where you literally have one product in every ad group. So you'll have an ad group for product 1 is an ad group and then inside that ad group, you just split out that one product. Product 2 is an ad group called product 2, and inside you split out just that product. So it gives you a lot of control over the structure of your shopping campaign, okay? Because every single product is in its own ad group. And the benefit of that is that you can actually add product level negatives, because obviously you can add a negative keyword to an ad group or a campaign. So if you've got a single ad group with a single product, it means you can add product level negatives, which can be useful sometimes, because if you've got a lot of products in your feed, then a negative that applies to one product won't necessarily apply to another product. So in that respect, that can be a big advantage if that's relevant to you. But there are some quite big downsides with this one, in my opinion, in that, as you can imagine, if you've got more than about 3 products in your product feed, it is incredibly tedious and time consuming to build manually. In fact, I would hazard to say it's pretty much impossible to build manually. So complicated. And likewise, it's really, really hard to keep it up to date if you've got products coming in and out of your feed, trying to make sure that all your ad groups are still up to date, all your product groups are still up to date, you've got the right product in the right ad group. It's just a nightmare. you really, practically speaking, cannot do this manually. You would have to use some kind of tool like Optimizer or PPC Samurai to keep everything up to date and to keep your shopping campaigns in sync with your feed, and so to keep your ad groups in sync with your feed. Another downside of this one is that if you have a very large feed, then you can actually hit ad group limits. You have a limit of 20,000 ad groups in a campaign. So if you've got a feed with 25,000 products in it, then obviously you're not going to have enough ad groups to be able to have all those products in a single ad group. Ideally, in an ideal world, obviously, with a feed that size, you would probably be segmenting them into different areas of the feed, into different campaigns anyway. But obviously, that is an issue that you can come across if you use this type of campaign structure. So there you go, a very brief overview of the ways that you can structure your shopping campaigns. I would recommend for most people that we either do the segmented product groups or all products in a single product group version 2, where you actually split out item IDs from the all products product group. Okay, hopefully you have found that useful. If you want more information on the Online Retail Academy, where you can learn about Google Shopping, how to set up and optimize your own Google Shopping, then there's a link below the video. Don't forget, if you enjoyed the video, share with somebody who might find it useful as well. Don't forget to like the video, hit subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified. It all really helps me, and let me know if you find this helpful.